to the Blended Insight podcast.
Hello, bright souls. This is Susan with Blended Insight, and thank you for joining me. It's so warm and nice here. Oh my goodness, I'm enjoying spring, and I hope you are too, wherever you are listening. Before I get into today's podcast topic, I wanted to tell you that if you are not subscribed to my newsletter, which is my mailing list, please get over to Blended Insight. Right on the front page, you can scroll down, and on the right-hand side, you will see a subscribe place where you can basically subscribe to my newsletter, my mailing list. That is the best way to know what is going on, what I'm up to, what I'm offering. I send freebies through there. I also send a lot of healing energy to my mailing list because I feel like if you've trusted me with your email address, or you've been a client of mine, or you've actually supported my products to the point where you've went to my website, put in your email address, I feel like you're part of me, a part of my tribe, a part of my journey, and I want to give back. So if you are not on there, please hop over and do that now. Also, I just want to thank each and every one of you who have left a review or liked my podcast or subscribed to my podcast or my YouTube channel. I am so grateful, and just know I see every single one of those when they come through, and I send you so much love and gratitude. Now, before I go any further, if this is your first time listening, thank you and welcome. I am an intuitive, which I know some people say it's just a psychic. Okay, whatever. I do intuitive card readings. I don't like the word psychic because it has so much negative connotation. So I call myself an intuitive. And I'm also an energy healer. I practice Reiki. I'm a Reiki master, and I also do pranic healing. I've studied lots and lots of different energy healing modalities and techniques, and so I combine them all to basically develop what best works for my client base. So I figure that out through intuition, and that's how I do my services. I am also a holistic / integrated wellness practitioner. I went through 2 separate programs. One was specialized in hypnotherapy and nutrition. Another one was specialized in mindfulness. So basically all any of that means is that I just love to learn. I want to grow. I just want to be as conscious as possible. There's always a new level of learning to go to. And I like to take everything that I've learned and share it with everyone else because I want us all to have the most joyous and simplistic and easy and radiant experience here on this earth as we possibly can. So I always think that we're here to help each other learn and grow. And so that is what I am trying to do. And that is what I like to do on this podcast, is to share things that have helped me to hopefully help inspire and help you as well. So for today's podcast, this was actually a suggestion on my YouTube channel. So if you are listening, the person that suggested this, I just have initials on there, so I don't want to say the initials and then get the name wrong, so I'm not going to. But it's going to be on strengthening your intuition, ways to do it. And this is something that I had to go through, a process that I had to go through. And so if that is you, hopefully you can hear some things here that will help you. So what we're going to go over is first, how to recognize your intuition so you know when it's coming through, so you can learn how to pay attention to that. And then we're going to talk about ways that you can make it stronger. And then we will end with a healing to strengthen your spiritual cord, clear any blocks in your auric field, and hopefully help you along with this process. Now, I know there are lots and lots of different ways that people suggest to strengthen your intuition or heighten your intuition. And so I'm going to share with you what has personally worked for me and what I have done and what I have found to be the easiest. So if there's a suggestion that I give that doesn't resonate with you, just discard it. You don't have to leave me an ugly comment or argue with me. I get some of those when I post my podcast on my YouTube channel, and those are just the low vibrates of the world that are looking for occasions to be offended, that are looking for ways to dispute what someone says, and I just don't have any time for that. Now, I'm up for a healthy dispute or discussion. Okay, if you're just saying, hey, what about this? But I'm an intuitive. I know when someone is just a low vibrate, a vampire. And so if that's you, please don't even waste your time, because all I'm going to do is delete you and block the comment, because people that follow me and that are drawn to my work are typically energetically sensitive. And so those types of things are just, we don't need that in our world. The whole point of this community is to uplift and inspire and help each other along the way. So here is what works for me. The very first thing is determining how intuition drops in your personal body and how you can recognize it. It's different for everyone. So I will share with you ways that I personally receive my intuition and what other people have shared with me about how they receive their intuition. When my intuition drops in, the way that it comes in for me is always the same, and it comes in like a still wise elder. So it comes in the same. And I receive it in all ways. I see images. I can get it through the senses, a certain smell. Mostly I will hear it. So I hear the information. And the informational voice always sounds the same when it's my higher self. So and it's always steady. It doesn't stir emotion. That's how I know the difference between my mind and my intuition. When my intuition tells me something, it's always steady, and my body feels very calm when it comes in. So my body is not tensing up. I'm not overthinking. It just the same. The tone, the feeling, it's all the same for me. Now that's when I'm receiving intuitive guidance. If I'm receiving intuitive warnings, it will come in my stomach. So I will get tension in my stomach. I will feel uncomfortable. Sometimes I'll get nauseous. If the person that's trying to communicate with me or trying to get me to do something that is not in my best interest, it will come in through my stomach. Other times it will come in through my nervous system, where I'll start to feel almost like a little shaky. Now, I'm very energetically sensitive, so if you haven't felt any of these things, this is okay. I'm just sharing my ways so that you can maybe think of ways that your intuition is very unique and personalized to you. A lot of times people will get goosebumps. That happens to me. If I have some kind of spirit near me that's trying to communicate, I will get goosebumps usually. Or if it's a strong confirmation, if someone says something to me and it's confirming, I'll get goosebumps. Other times there was a time in my life where I was going through a lot of really tough times. There was a lot of spiritual turmoil around me. And it's because I was trying to evolve, and I had a lot of lower energies trying to hold me. And when the lower energies would come around, I would get a smell. And it was like almost like a sewer smell. There'd be no one around. It'd be in different places. But I always knew. I'm like, okay, so lower energies trying to get in. So let me connect with my intuition. And in that way, I would like feel safe and get rid of the negative energy. And so you may have had experiences like that too. Also, it can come in through your emotions. So there have been times where I've experienced really emotional messages, and I know it's my intuition giving it to me because of the way that I feel. So, for example, there was a time in my life where I was getting messages about something that was going to occur in the future. And I got this entire download of very specific images and information and messages, and it was actually a really sad message, but I had no emotion because it came in so clear and comforting. So that's another way that people can get their intuition. So really the main thing is that no matter how it comes in for you, it's just knowing that that's what it is. And sometimes people struggle with this because when they get a message, the ego wants to argue it, especially if it makes no sense. There have been so many times in my life where I'm having a conversation with someone and I keep getting a message to tell them something and it makes no sense. Sometimes it's personal. I don't want to say it. And for what happens with me is that my intuition will keep getting louder and louder and louder and louder inside my head, the voice, to where I can't concentrate on what they're saying until I spit it out. And when I do spit it out, it's always relevant to that person. It's something they needed to hear, or it's something that was going on with them that they were trying to hide. So I've learned through trusting it that it's always relevant. It's coming in. I'm not crazy. I'm just receiving something for me or for someone else that I need to trust and act or speak upon. So here's some of the things that we struggle with. And this may have happened to you, which is maybe a reason why you want to strengthen your intuition, is that maybe you've been criticized. So I remember growing up when I was younger, I would just kind of know things or see things and I would speak on it, and then I would get shot down by I can remember getting shot down by my mother and my brothers, like, how do you know that? Or that's not true, or that doesn't make any sense. And I can remember moments feeling stupid, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that, or that wasn't right. And so I just quit speaking on it. And then fast forward to my adult years, I can remember several instances. I remember a time when I was married to my daughter's father, and we were at a company picnic, and I just remember it so vividly. He was receiving an award, and so he went up there to take the award, and he gave this whole speech and spiel about how he was just so blessed to have me, and it was a crock. He really didn't. He didn't mean it. I could see it. I could see it clearly. And I remember looking at him and thinking, he is completely full of himself. He does not mean a word. He is a manipulator. It was just this moment that it just dawned on me, like, he's just a manipulator. And the other wives and the women were like, oh, he's so sweet. And I'm like, wow. And at the time, I didn't know what a narcissist was. I know what it is now. But I mean, he went on to have more affairs than I could keep up with. So my intuition was correct, but I wasn't ready to act on it at that time. And I remember this moment. It was so pivotal because I'm like, am I crazy? Because all the other women were like, oh my gosh, he's so sweet. And I thought, actually, I don't think he is. I think something's not right with this guy, right? And so, but I didn't trust it because I didn't trust myself and I didn't act on it. And so, I have no regrets about that relationship because it brought me my daughter. But I'm giving you, there's always these little examples that you can go back and look at, times when you didn't listen to your intuition, times when you did, and it helps you to increase your faith in yourself and boost your own trust in your own intuition. Intuition is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets and the easier it is for you to connect with it. I can also remember a time in my life when I was in a low place and I was doing a lot of meditation. And, in the beginning, I didn't have energy healing. I didn't know anything about that. I was just lost. And so I would find really beautiful, high vibrational music that put my soul at ease. And would be my version of meditation. And I would listen to the music. And I remember listening to the music and I kept getting this image, and it was a silhouette of a person. And I didn't know who the person was. It began to agitate me because it would come in so often. And I used to think, like, who is this person? Then the mind gets involved, right? So that's when then the image just goes away because your mind is trying to figure it out. And intuition comes from a higher place. The mind doesn't need to participate. And so fast forward several years later, I had met a friend. He became a friend of mine, but I met him at a car dealership, and he was just a really nice guy. And he invited my daughter and I to meet up with his family to go to a carnival or something. And he was standing, it was starting to get dark, and he was standing in this doorway, and there was the silhouette. And it gave me like almost a deja vu because I'm like, that's it. But I wasn't thinking about it at the time. And then it was like, okay, that's my intuition confirming that I'm on my path. And I was starting to get these downloads of future events. And that's how it started to come in, because the more confirmation I received, the more I trusted it. So I'm sure you've had times in your life where you've received intuitive information and you didn't act on it. And then you think, dang it, why didn't I listen? For me, instead of beating myself up, which I've done plenty of times, like, dang it, Susan, why didn't you listen? Look what you've done because you didn't listen. Now, that's our nature to do that. But what I've learned to do is take those instances to say, see, you were hearing your intuition, and your intuition is always there. It never abandons you. So let this just be confirmation that you heard it. And now next time you're going to notice it even quicker. You're going to notice it more strongly, and you'll know that you need to act and listen. And because you're listening to this podcast right now, your intuition is going to be dropping in. And the main thing to do is just really connect with yourself to find out how it's coming in and pay attention to it. Now, how do you do that? Well, here's the way that I have strengthened my intuition. And this is something that is tried and true for me. This is how I can go back to it. So like I said before, intuition is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. It's always there. It's more about us recognizing it. So if your mind is really, really busy, then it's difficult for you to hear it. And if you're not communicating with your higher self through a spiritual practice on a regular basis, it's harder for you to recognize it and pull it in sometimes. So for me, meditation is absolutely pivotal and key. And I know meditation is tough for many people. And a lot of times when you say meditation, people just think they don't have time, or they have all of these excuses as to why they can't do it. And like I said in the beginning, my meditation was just listening to high vibrational music and breathing. So just doing a breathing practice and just sitting quietly and asking for guidance is one of the best ways that you can get started. Just asking for guidance. I used to do that. Like, I want to be led. I want to be on the right path, because I didn't have the language, right? So this is how I started. I put on some music, sit quietly, maybe 10 minutes, and just say, look, I really need some help here. So angels, guides, spirit helpers, archangels, holy angels, whoever in the higher realms, my higher self, God, universe, creator, whoever you are, please give me some intuitive information to help guide me in this area or in all areas. I really just want to hear, and I want to be on the right path. And then I would just pay attention and then see what comes in, and then just trust it. And after you know how it comes into your body, it's a lot easier to just act on the information that you get. And it does feel silly sometimes. I've gotten information for people that's really personal, and I don't want to say anything. And I've gotten really better at just blurting things out. And the other thing that I do is when I do get intuition for other people, I will ask Spirit, okay, if you want me to say something, please create the right place or the right way for me to say this, or give me the words. And I'm saying all this inside my head because we don't have to say it out loud to commune with Spirit, right? And I'll tell you, the more I started doing this, just listening to some music and just asking for daily guidance, I'd think of someone randomly. And I'm sure this has happened to you too. Just think of someone randomly. And so I started just acting on that. So I might send them a message, hey, how's it going today? Or call them. There was a few times when some of the people, they worked in my building. So I would just hop in their office, hey, just checking in. And I'm telling you, they would almost have always, something was wrong. And I remember there was a time in my life where I didn't speak to my dad for a little bit. We had like a little disagreement and I hadn't talked to him in a while. And one morning after my little meditation, I heard a very strong message come in, call him. And I'm like, oh no, because I still am a human. I live in the ego. And this was years ago. I wasn't developed to the level that I am now. But I thought, I really don't want to do that. This is going to be really uncomfortable. But I said, okay, I'm going to listen. And I called him, and his cat had died that morning. So, the more you use it, the more you trust it, and the stronger it gets. And before we go into a healing, I do want to talk about crystals, because a lot of times I'll get messages from people that'll say, hey, would you you use this crystal for intuition or that crystal for intuition? I sometimes use crystals in my healing practice and meditating. And there was a time when I was actually posting like crystal cards because I thought they were really cool. Basically like giving advice about which crystals you can work with what's going on in your life. And I've gotten away from that a little bit simply because crystals are not just beautiful rocks that you can have around or stones that you can have around and do nothing with them. What I have found is that they do hold energy. And so if you're energetically sensitive, sometimes you have to clear your crystals regularly, and there's all different ways to clear them. But I have found the more energetically sensitive I become, because the more that I evolve, the more I have to be careful with crystals. So I've kind of stepped away from them. I have a lot of them. I have a ton of them actually, but I don't use them as much in my healing practice unless I'm specifically told. So if you're using crystals to heighten your intuition, hey, I think that's great. I'm just not the person to talk to about that, because unless I'm doing a private session with you and I can look at your energy field, the crystal's energy field, and it's just a little bit too risky for me at this point to recommend that. So I would say if you're drawn to that, find someone that can help you, to basically go about it that way. I don't know if you can hear that, but as soon as I finished that little piece about crystals, there's sirens going on outside, and my cat comes right next to me and starts trying to cough up a hairball. So that's just more confirmation on my intuition podcast that what I just said regarding crystals is accurate and it's important. So if you're one of those people that are holding a lot of crystals and, hey, maybe that message is for you, you should really look at your crystals and figure out if that's working for you or working against you. Because I will say it's different for everyone, but I've seen a lot of people with too many crystals to where it's making their energy field really chaotic and it's making them feel scattered. So that's all I have to say about that. So for just a really quick recap, figure out how your intuition comes in for you and then pay really close attention to each time it comes in to validate it, strengthen it, and act upon it. If you don't act upon it, that's okay. Don't feel bad. Your intuition's not going to go away, but just recognize those times. Hey, I'm hearing my intuition. Like when my intuition comes in, I actually acknowledge it. Thank you. It comes in. I heard that. Thank you. And that helps me to activate my subconscious and conscious mind that, hey, my intuition just came in. I need to pay attention to that, act on it. It also helps if you write it down because sometimes you'll forget. So like if someone's name keeps coming up, I'll write it down, check on this person. And then I go do what I have to do. And then I'll call the person unless it's coming in to call them right then and there. Intuition is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Main thing is just trusting it. Trust yourself. Trust the fact that you are connected. Do spiritual meditations to strengthen your spiritual cord. Energy healing really helps with that. Pick the modality that works for you. I do long distance sessions, so I do them over the phone or through the Skype audio feature. I use a combination of Reiki and pranic healing and whatever other modality I feel the client most needs. I am intuitive, so that's how my sessions typically differ from other energy healers. I've had sessions with lots of energy healers, but I will say I can't separate my intuition from my gift. So a lot of times I do get intuitive information when I'm doing an energy healing for someone, but I always trust that I'm going to get what that person most needs, and I am an open channel to deliver it. So that actually really helps because sometimes we just have too much thinking going on and we can't hear the intuition because our mind is so chaotic. That's why meditation is key because it helps you to quiet your mind. Mindfulness practices, breathing practices, and then asking for divine guidance, however you phrase it for yourself. God, creator, goddess, divine mother, divine father, spiritual helpers, holy angels, whatever it is, that term that we use to describe the term that we can't describe, where we all came from, where we'll all return to that, however that shows up for you. And then you just need to trust it, act on it and trust it. And the more you trust it, the more you act, the more you'll feel confident. And then you'll be like, okay, it's just like anything else. With practice, you get better. So with that, let's go ahead and uncross our arms and legs and let's do a healing. And for this healing, I'm going to focus on cleaning and strengthening your spiritual cord. That is your divine connection so that you can hear clearly when those messages come down for you. So I'm running beautiful energy, healing energy that's going to come in through your crown and go down through your entire energy body. Clearing any blocks in your auric field, clearing all doubt, knowing and trusting that you are guided, and setting the intention here and now that you will continue to hear your intuition in a way that you understand and recognize. Releasing all resistance. You are intuitive. You are connected, tuned in, and so it is. Now, during that healing, I could hear someone saying, I can't do it. I can't hear. I could hear all those negative thoughts, and I did work on clearing those away. But I will say, if you're just struggling with self-confidence and self-doubt, honestly, check out my self-care bundle. It's so reasonably priced, and it helps to boost your inner worth, your self-worth, your confidence, your self-esteem. Honestly, if you're empathic or you're on this path at all, that's something that I'd say almost all of us have to work on at some point in our life, because that's just the human condition, right? I mean, narcissists are born with a superiority complex, but most of us in the healing professions, or that are empathic, or we tend to overgive, or we're people pleasers, I'm raising my hand for all of that. We have to boost our self-worth and our self-confidence so that we can be a whole and complete individual on our own. And that way we have healthy boundaries, healthy relationships, and we don't burn ourselves out. Burn the candle at both ends, and then you're just totally exhausted. You end up having to create an illness just to get a break, and we don't want to do those things. So I want to thank you so much for joining me and for listening. Please like, subscribe, share, all of those things. You can find me on YouTube, Blended Insight. Visit me on my website, Blended Insight. Facebook, go like me on Facebook. I don't do Twitter. I am on Instagram, but I post more on Facebook, so check me out there. Again, Blended Insight. And I wish you the most intuitive, divinely connected, what other thing can I say here? I just wish you a beautiful day. How about that? And thank you again. Sending all my love.